Division. Now, look at this. Look at the notation. A divided by B. That's the same as A over B, written in this form. It's also, in long division form, the B is on the outside, the A is on the inside. Once again, take a look. Notice where the B is. A divided by B. B is the denominator, and B is on the outside. Let's find some words that mean division. One of them is divide. The big one that you'll see is quotient. That's a humongous one. And then PER means to divide. The word ratio means to divide. And so these are probably the most common words you'll see. Now let's take a look at a simple fraction problem so we can talk about some of the words, what they actually mean. And you're going to hear me use some of these words, and so just be prepared for them. When it says 6 divided by 2 is equal to 3, if you write it in long division form, it means 2 goes into 6 3 times, and 3 times 2 is 6. Subtract, we get 0. Now that 2, the one that did the dividing, is called the divisor. The 6, the one underneath the subtraction or the division sign, is the dividend, the one that's being divided into. And the result that we got was called the quotient. Now notice the 0, even though we say we don't have one, but that would be the remainder. And so if we want to check our division problem, here's how you would check it. The 6, that was the big number, the dividend, that 6 is equal to the divisor times the quotient. And if that's a true statement, then you know you did it correctly. So therefore, since 2 times 3 equals 6, we knew that we were correct. Let's do another one right quickly, just so you can understand what's going on as far as how to check it. In fact, we may want to do a couple of longer ones, just so we can bring back some old memories of division. Let's divide 4 into 1,284. So here we go. 4 doesn't divide into 1. Now some people like to put a 0 there. That's fine. It's more than acceptable. 4 times 12, however, is probably the way most people were taught. 4 won't go into 1, but 4 will go into 12 3 times. And the advantage of putting a 0 there is so you'll know where the 3 goes. It always goes above the number, the last digit of the number you were dividing into. So 3 times 4 is 12. You multiply back through, subtract, and we get 0. Bring down the 8. That's going to be the same process over and over and over. Divide, then multiply, subtract, then bring down. Start over. But it's the same 4 steps. Here we go. We're going to start over now. We're going to divide. 4 goes into 8 2 times. Multiply back through. 2 times 4 is 8. Subtract. You get 0. Bring down the 4. Do it again. 4 divides into 4 one time. 1 times 4 is 4. Subtract, and we get 0. Let's do a little bit bigger problem. A problem that might have a double-digit divisor in it. How long has it been since you've done this by hand? Let's divide 12 into 9,078. See what happens. We may even get a remainder. 12 won't go into 9, but 12 will go into 97 times. And 7 times 12 is 84. So let's subtract. 90 minus 84 is 60. We're going to bring down the 7. 12 goes into 67 5 times. 5 times 12 is 60. Subtract 7. Let's bring down the 8. 12 goes into 78 6 times. And 6 times 12 is 72. Subtract, and we get 6. So for now, we're going to say that the remainder is 6. That's how you divide by hand. We may do a couple more before we get done with these notes. Let's look at some properties of division. These are very important properties. They're used quite a bit, especially with fractions. So be aware. Division properties of 1. This one down here should be division properties of 0. Division properties of 1 This first one, what it states is, if I ask you what's 2 divided by 2, you would say 2 goes into 2 one time. 3 divided by 3 is 1. X divided by x is 1. Anything divided by itself is 1. The only number we can't divide by is a 0, so just keep that in mind. Now this next one states this. If we take a number like a 2 and divide it by 1, we're going to get 2 because 1 divides into 2 times. 3 divided by 1 is 3. In fact, if you take any number called x, x divided by 1 is x. Now where this is a big deal is with fractions. A lot of times you'll be asked to add 2 plus 4/7. In that case, you want to take that 2 and rewrite it as 2 over 1, so you can see what it's being divided by, or what its denominator is. Now let's do these division properties of 0. One of these a lot of people miss, and we're going to use this check to explain how to get these right at all times. So we're going to take an example and do 0 divided by 2. Now the answer is 0, because when we check it, we're going to take that 0 and times it by that 2, and it does give us 0. In fact, if you take any number, you're going to take 0 and divide by any number other than 0, you're going to get an answer of 0, because when you check it, 0 times 3 equals 0. Now let's look at the second division property of 0. Let's look at 2 divided by 0. Most people, when they look at this, they think the answer is 0. But when you look at it, or when you check it, 0 times 0 is 0, and it's not 2, so that won't work. Some people will think, well, it's 2 then. 2 times 0 is 0, but not 2, so that won't work. In fact, if you take any number you want and times it by 0, you're always going to get 0, and you'll never get a 2. So in this case, the answer is undefined. It has no solution. So division by 0 is not possible, so we call it undefined. That's a big deal. 0 divided by any number is 0. Any number divided by 0 you can't do. The only number you can't divide by on this first property is a 0, so a cannot be 0. Let's do some further problems. We already talked about long division, so let's expand it and show you how you can check your answer when you do have a remainder. So with this 13 divided by 4, you take 4 into 13 and it goes 3 times. 3 times 4 is 12. Subtract it and you get 1. It's a remainder of 1. So to check it, what we're saying is that 13 is the same as 4 times 3 plus 1 more. You check it by multiplying the divisor times the quotient. That's what this means. So the dividend is the divisor times the quotient, and then you add the remainder. Because when we do that, 4 times 3 is 12, and 12 plus 1 is 13. So this is how you check an answer or a division problem, and you get a remainder. Now let's look at this one. It says 48 marbles must be distributed evenly to 6 kids. How many does each receive? So if you got 48 marbles, and you have 6 kids, how many are you going to get? That sounds like a division problem to me. So each kid's going to get 8 marbles. Now this next example, you'll see quite often. It's one you need to know, if for no other reason, to find your test average for any class you may take. So to find the average, what average means is you add the values, or in other words, you take the sum of the values and you divide by the number of values that you have. And so for this one, we're going to take our values 86, 76, 98, and 92. We're going to add those all together. And since we have 1, 2, 3, 4 of them, we're going to divide by 4 and see what results. So when you take 86 plus 76 plus 98 plus 92, what do we get? 86 and 76 is 162. 98 and 92 is 190. So we had 190. Let me write that down. 190 and 162. Looks like 352 to me. So we're going to divide that by 4. When we divide 352 by 4, we're going to get 88 is the answer. That's the average. Let me show you how I did this 88 in my head. 4 goes into 35 8 times, because 4 times 8 is 32. Notice the remainder of 3 is left over. 4 goes into 32 8 times. It's called short division. You may want to use that.